MIC.
See you real soon.
KEY.
Why? Because we want to watch it.
MOUSE.
This is the way of the dork.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 73 of the Four Dorksmen podcast. I'm Nate, a.k.a. Angry Nate.
There's no game tonight. Whew, just want to get that out of my chest. Get that out there just to start. Makes me feel better, not going to proceed.
You know we lost like half our listeners now.
Right,
I
yeah.
know, that's fine.
It's just going to be Clint on repeat. No.
So who are you?
He's no game. That's what he is. He's no game.
All right.
Chop Mojo.
All right, well then this is Collector Clint.
This is Asian Tony Stark.
And that was Joey, by the way, in case you forgot who that was. But yes, thank you everyone for joining us this week. Quick couple of housekeeping things before we get too far into it. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at @the_dorksman. You can always email us at dorksman@gmail.com. Don't forget, it's just an automated response, but you will get one. We always love to eventually see your emails. I actually, to be perfectly honest, I've been so busy I haven't checked the email in like a couple of weeks.
I'm on it. You're right.
Yeah. Why do you guys hate us? Why can't you just email us? I'm just kidding. Anyways, make sure you're playing along. Dorksman Bingo, dorksmanbingo.com. As always, thank you, Andrew, for building that bingo card for us. Thank you, Larry, for making sure that we got that sweet redirect link. Make sure you're following their podcasts. Andrew and his brothers are at the Toy Rewind podcast. They have new episodes weekly. Follow them on Instagram. They're constantly showing off the old stuff that they've got in storage that they're pulling out. Make sure you're following Larry and the STS guys and the Totally Rad Movie Pod as well that he's a part of. They live stream usually on Saturday nights, so make sure you're following them. Check them out. Great guys. Yeah. So without much further ado, let's jump into some Ask the Dorksman for this week. I can't believe it's like a week and a half, like 2 weeks to Christmas. Not even 2 weeks anymore.
Not even
it's
2
weeks.
crazy.
Yeah.
So this will be our first of, I'm sure, multiple Christmas questions. So our first question this week comes from Mandy, aka Simshu. Mandy's question is, what is the most irritating Christmas song?
Joey?
He's seething as
He fell asleep already.
I have mixed emotions about calling this the most irritating because I also think it's amusing, but it does irritate me if I hear it more than once, if that makes sense. And that's the I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas
Yes.
song. It's like
Yes.
I need to hear it once and then that's it. And then if I hear it any more than one time during the season, I'm like, that was too much. Like, I'm good at one.
Is it because the way she sings it, or is it the like just the lyrics? Like,
No, I think it's the voice. I think
the
it's
voice.
that
Yeah,
bothers
for
me.
sure.
Maybe it was Josh Groban or Michael Bublé singing it instead, or your favorite Mariah Carey. Maybe I could deal with it. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably the one that annoys me the most. I'm going to go with that one.
That's interesting. All right. Mariah Carey's. All I want.
Anything from Mariah Carey? Oh, okay.
No, does she have more? Well, anything from Mariah Carey is annoying, but that's the most annoying Christmas song. And part of that's because I can't stand her as a person. To be honest with you, the song is not bad. It's just it's overplayed in my opinion. But also Mariah Carey's just you look up diva, and I think her picture is there in the dictionary. So I just can't stand her at all. So that'd be my answer. There's of course some close seconds, but I will let the other guys answer first.
I will second with Clint on that song. The thing that irritates me the most about it is the fact that it's like right after Thanksgiving. That's the first freaking song you hear that rings off the Christmas season. I'm like, shoot me now.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot me now. When the song first came out, it was bearable, but yeah, it's just overplayed now. There's so many other great Christmas songs that invoke a lot of good memories. That one is like makes me want to claw my eye out with a spoon.
Poor Nate.
You guys hurt me with your Mariah Carey slander. I will not sit here and listen to this. I'm out. I'm just kidding. I understand. It's like it's a lot. Like you're right. Like literally after like American Thanksgiving, it's like, all right, time to put up the tree and listen to Mariah Carey Christmas for like the next 6 weeks, like nonstop. So I do get it. I do understand your pain.
No,
For
you don't
me, I
understand our pain. You're
Dude, I used to
Canadian.
work-
It's
let's hear
not
what this
directly
song
after
is.
your Thanksgiving. It's after our Thanksgiving.
I
Yeah,
used to
who's
work in
after his,
retail.
though?
I used to work in retail. So like December 1st and working like 8-9 hour shifts in retail with the Christmas music going is like honestly insane. And like we'd have to do like longer shifts during the holiday, like the week leading up to the holidays, because a lot of times the mall would be open late. Like, I mean, not this year, obviously, because nobody's going to the mall, or hopefully they're spending less time in the mall.
Right.
But I would have to do like shifts to like 11 or even sometimes midnight. And my God, Christmas music just in general I was so glad to not hear it after the holidays were over. But the one for me would be Wonderful Christmas Time, I think, is the one that drives me the most insane.
Are you talking about the Paul McCartney
The
version?
Paul McCartney version,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I mean, I love Paul McCartney. I think he's, obviously very talented, but this particular song, the keyboard, I think, is what really just kills me. I think it's just that the sounds of the keyboard are just haunting, and it's just can't get out of my head.
I don't know if you guys have heard. There's the Bare Naked Ladies Christmas holiday album, Bare Naked for the Holidays, and they have a version of that song that's like played on a Casio keyboard. It's delightful.
Like Gene.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Gene
Like,
Casio.
yes,
I'm gonna look that up.
wonderful.
That reminds
Yes,
me of what Fallon does whenever he has groups on. He'll do like
Oh.
the kindergarten version with the Roots
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the track.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Oh yeah.
Enter Sandman was epic, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I'll just say that.
Yeah,
They're all good. But anyway, good question, Mandy. We liked it. We're looking forward to your response.
Are you looking it up right now, Clint?
I already sent it. I didn't get a response yet. Yeah.
Awesome.
If she responds, I'll let you know.
Sweet. And our second question this week, another Christmas question from our buddy Ferd. Islander 671. It's spelt in a way that I'm just not going to spell it out. I'm sorry. People will find you. People will find you on Twitter. We interact with you a lot. So do you guys have any holiday traditions, such as like a family football game after Thanksgiving, but obviously for Christmas, like family game nights? Do you guys do anything special for the holidays?
When I was younger, when we went to my mom's mother's for Christmas, it was always one of those big family get-togethers. So it was like never on Christmas. It was always like that weekend before type of thing or whatever. We used to always, either have a, cousin's football game or cousin's basketball game or something like that, or both. But those stopped many, many years ago, probably 20 years ago or so. Just recently with like our kids, we don't really have any traditions other than like the typical, let's sit down and watch, a Christmas movie together. It's usually a Christmas story.
That's
is
tradition.
usually what we watch.
And that's a great choice.
I just feel like that's what everybody does. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's what counts.
We don't have anything, outlandish that we do. We used to try to go look at Christmas lights on Christmas Eve. And there was a lot of like starts to traditions that never quite took off. Like the streak was ended at like 1 or 2. Like we tried to start a tradition of going and eating at a Japanese steakhouse on Christmas Eve. I think that happened 2 out of 3 years, and it hasn't happened since. And going to look at Christmas lights, that didn't really take off either for Christmas Eve stuff. So it's basically the movie thing is the only thing that's stuck.
I mean, that's something, and that counts.
It is. Yeah. It is.
So a couple I'm going to share real quick. Back to Thanksgiving, all through college and beyond, we did have the keg bowl the day after Thanksgiving. Eventually, we did get too old. We ended up with broken arms and lots of throwing up, so we stopped playing. But that was always something I really look forward to. But the night before, and this is the first year we haven't done it in 15 years, we would do our annual Friends Poker Night, which was usually like 40 people getting together and playing poker. We didn't do it this year for obvious reasons, but it's usually a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. I'm not the greatest poker player, so I usually don't last too long. So I usually get to hang out and just drink and carry on with friends. But that's always something I look forward to since you mentioned that time of year. But as for Christmas and the holidays, we don't have a great one yet. We're still kind of working on our immediate family with Ava. She does love Christmas lights, so I'm sure going out, looking at Christmas lights will be a part of it. Another part is my mom's birthday is on the 23rd, which, boo, that sucks having your birthday so close to Christmas because people put them together and they shouldn't. But that she likes to go to what is called electric critters at the zoo. And we do that. We won't do it this year, obviously. But for those of you who don't know what that is, and a lot of zoos do this, is they put up Christmas lights in shapes of animals. And, one is like a whale you walk into and it's all Christmas lights. It's really cool. I know Ava liked it last year. She would have loved it this year, but she likes to do that after we go out to dinner for her birthday. And then one other thing, I want to shout out to my mom again. Shout out to Clint's mom.
Yes.
She has been doing now, I don't know, for years, this thing called the calendar fairy. Okay. And the calendar fairy is kind of like Elf on the Shelf before there was Elf on the Shelf. And what it is the calendar fairy every day in December leading up to Christmas hides gifts throughout the house. And you have to find it based on whatever clues the calendar fairy gives you. Now, what's funny is we did this when we were younger, of course, stopped. Well, I don't know. I mean, I was like barely 21 and my brother brought it up. He's like, hey, Mom, how come we don't do that anymore? And she started doing it again. So we've been doing it for like another 20 years since. And of course, I think now it's going to be very focused towards Ava doing it and us all helping her. So I'm looking forward. In theory, it's still happening, but we'll see my parents on the 23rd. We'll do it the 24th, and that'll be a fun event to have her search for stuff and laugh. And I know that's something we're going to keep doing. So there are some holiday traditions that my family has.
For me, the only thing that we used to do is play games during Christmas Eve at my auntie's house. But now, mind you, I think we've spoken about this before, but my dad is the youngest of 3 kids. So we would alternate between one of his sister's houses, and they also have kids. Me being of the youngest sibling, right? My dad being the youngest sibling of the 3. We were always like a bunch younger. I think there's like a 12-year age gap between me and my youngest cousin, who now they have kids in college. So about maybe 12 years ago, we stopped going. And so now we really don't do much of anything on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Kind of boring, but tradition died as people get older.
Yeah. Well, you and Michi can start your own, and Buddy can start your own tradition now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think she has to actually work on Christmas Day this year.
Oh,
really?
Well, working in retail in Waikiki,
it's true.
It's a regular work day for them too. Granted, they get an additional day off, so they substitute it and they get paid extra, the time and a half. But Waikiki doesn't close, and the fact that now we are reopened for tourism and everybody keeps coming here, it's great.
Right.
We need the money, but it also scares me. Back to the subject, it's a normal working day.
Wow. Bummer.
Yep.
Yeah, for me, like with my parents growing up, we didn't do too many like kind of Western style traditions with my parents. Like we did like the Christmas tree and whatnot, but that like as I got older, we just kind of stopped doing it. But since I've been with my wife and since we've been dating and married now, we kind of do our own like Christmas stuff where it's just we watch the same movies over the holidays. Like we'll watch like Home Alone, we'll watch Elf, the traditional classic lighthearted Christmas movies. We'll put the tree up and kind of do stuff like that. With some of my friends who have I lost touch with a little bit over the years, just like same with Ryan says, like, you kind of, you grow out of it and you grow away from people, regardless if it's family or friends. But we used to do like a big potluck dinner over the holidays, and we did that for a few years. And everyone just at that point, people got married, people had kids, and like, life changes. So we haven't done that in quite a few years. So that'd be something nice to revisit, because actually kind of one of the beauties of having like the Google Photos and whatnot, and like I'm sure you guys have the same on your fancy iPhones, but seeing like memories, right? So like the other day it was like 9 years ago this week was like, this big feast you had with your friends, and then 8 years ago this week was a big feast you had with your friends. So it's nice to see those memories and kind of get on that, but it's also nice to make new ones, right? Which I think a lot of us are doing. This year is going to be kind of, you have to be creative this year to come up with some new ones going forward. So yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Ferd. I see Clint reached out to you already. Looking forward to your answer as well. So
Mandy did respond, by the way.
Oh, Mandy, what's
yours was Carol of the Bells. I'm not really sure why I find it irritating. It just is, which is disappointing because I actually really like that song.
I love that song too, yeah.
But teach their own. All right, go on, Nate.
That's fair. As Joey so eloquently put right at the beginning at the intro, there is no game this week, purely because we want to spend as much time as we could discussing the madness of the Disney Investor Day, which was this past Friday. Just a quick overview for people that aren't sure what the Disney Investor Day or Disney Investor Call is basically Disney has a meeting with all their board members, all their shareholders and their stockholders, and they basically sit down and tell everybody, this is how we're doing. There's probably a bunch of money, financial stuff that they didn't go through, but this is like what they did share with the world was what's coming up in the future, why you should continue investing with Disney, why Disney is in a good place for a company. So I've am working in games and stuff. I've been a part of investor meetings before, and my God, they're boring. They're nothing like what Disney showed us this Friday. So we want to take an episode to kind of digest it all, share our thoughts on what we're really looking forward to, because we've got some Marvel super fans in here, we've got Star Wars super fans, we've got people that we love Disney, just about everything that Disney does. So we want to break it down and do an episode about that. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Star Wars. My God. Pew, pew, pew. So much Star Wars.
It worries me.
It does, right?
It worries me that they're going to go overboard with it, like they kind of started doing with the sequels. And then, that was a chief complaint, is that, some of it was rushed or felt rushed, and it felt like we were being bombarded. And, that's why people argued Solo didn't do, as well as it could have, because, people were, on Star Wars burnout, for lack of a better term. And I don't know. I don't know if this wave that's, been kicked up by, the Mandalorian is going to be something that is going to have a lasting effect. Will it change once, quarantine stuff's over and people can get out and do other stuff more than just sit home and binge TV? Because they announced a lot of stuff, and not just movies that we already kind of knew was coming, but a lot of TV shows and a lot of other stuff that we maybe thought we might be getting. But it's crazy. It's a crazy amount of stuff to look at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my first impression. And now as a fan, I'm like totally geeking out,
Right.
about all the stuff coming out. They finally confirmed the Kenobi series, and confirmed that Hayden Christensen would be coming back to reprise his role of Darth Vader. Now, what that role is going to entail, like, is he going to like periodically take his helmet off, and or is he just going to be under helmet the whole time? And because it's kind of odd hiring him back if he's going to keep helmet on the whole time, because I'm assuming they're still going to get James Earl Jones to do the voice. I mean, why would you not? That's been the one constant, across the movies, is James Earl Jones providing the voice, and I would think there's probably going to be some stuff like what they did, in Mandalorian, where, that character takes his helmet off, very rarely. But from the first season, he didn't play the Mandalorian every time. Like, every time you saw the Mandalorian on screen in the first season wasn't Pascal.
Oh, really? I didn't know
body
that.
double in. Yeah, he got a little flack for that once people heard
Caught
about
on,
it. But
yeah.
supposedly he's, unless there was like a stunt or something, supposedly he's like 100%, in the costume. But I'm super excited for that one. I'm trying to watch Clone Wars again. I've tried watching 2 other times. So I'm thinking maybe the more I watch Clone Wars, the more excited I'll get about the Ahsoka series. I like how it was kind of almost like a backdoor pilot, kind of, where they had her ask, in that episode that she was in, where's Grand Admiral Thrawn at? So I'm thinking that that's going to not play out in The Mandalorian. I think that's probably going to play out in her series. Again, that's just my personal assumption about it. But I mean, there's so much stuff that's coming out, and so many different things for different people. Like I said, there's the movies coming out, there's the live action TV shows, there's the cartoon series that are coming out. And it's just, I love how they're filling in some of the gaps too. Like they're taking some characters and expanding on stuff. So I guess technically the Kenobi thing's filling in gaps too, because, it's supposed to be, what takes place while he's on Tatooine between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope taking place. But I love that they're taking some of these other characters that have just in recent years kind of evolved into fan favorites, like Ahsoka, for instance, and taking her. And I love the fact that Cassian Andor is getting his own series from Rogue One. Y'all all know that's my favorite of all the Star Wars movies, and the fact that they're bringing back some of the characters from that, since it's a prequel series talking about his early times as a rebel. My favorite droids of all time is K2SO, and so I love the fact that they're bringing him back as a character. I just love his mannerisms and the way he talks and stuff like that.
K2 from Rogue One.
Yes.
Okay. K2 is like a woman, right?
Huh? No, you're thinking of Solo.
I am thinking of Solo. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
K2SO is a super huge, tall, like dark gray gunmetal colored droid.
Who doesn't take any gruff from anybody. Got it.
Done by Anthony. How do you pronounce the last name? Tudyk, the guy from Firefly.
Oh. You mean Steve the pirate from Dodgeball?
Yes, Steve the pirate from Dodgeball.
Yes, not Anthony. What's his first name? Something with an A.
Alan.
No, Alan.
You're right.
Alan. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff coming. I don't know what y'all are personally excited for, but that's kind of my big ones: is the Kenobi series, the Andor series, and the Ahsoka series.
So I'll just jump in real quick. I like Star Wars. I know you especially, at least of the four of us, are really enjoying some of the references that pop up in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Not that I learn about them and I'm excited about them, but I don't know them ahead of time is my point. But and I kind of have that approach going into these. Like, yes, I know who Obi-Wan is. Obviously, I know who K2 is and Ahsoka. But there literally were like 10 Star Wars shows announced, and there's a lot of characters I don't know because I've never seen Clone Wars. I've never followed anything outside of the main Skywalker movies, Solo and Rogue One. So, but Mandalorian has really set the groundwork to get excited about it because it's been so good. And I really hope, that's taken into consideration. It doesn't all have to be lightsabers and the Force. It could be, just the canon of the people and the canon of the situations, etc. So I actually have hope. It's funny you talk about burnout and then you got so excited talking about it also. I think fans, I think Disney, I have to give them credit because I think they actually know what they're doing. I mean, we had that kind of year off from Star Wars before Mandalorian came in, and I think people were a little more refreshed. I think the same thing's going to happen with Marvel whenever Black Widow finally comes out. So I have a feeling they know that now. They're not going to try to cram everything they can down our throats. They're going to say, here's this, here's this, here's this. Enjoy, and then maybe even enjoy in time. When you want, because there's even mixed reactions of having The Mandalorian as a weekly show versus everything available at once. So
yeah, and I think they're doing right too, like kind of what you were alluding to by them not shoving it all down your throat with like, oh, here's a movie, here's another movie, here's another movie. It's like, okay, here's some movies coming up, and they're kind of spaced out, and they're not going to all focus on the same thing. And then these TV shows, they're going to be over different mediums. Some will be animated, some will be live action, and they're going to tell this story and that story, and that's the part I think that they're doing right this time. Like you said, that maybe there won't be that Star Wars burnout that I think we got here not too many years ago. Because I think the next movie is not scheduled to like maybe 2022.
Because they haven't even started filming them yet, right?
Right. I don't think there's any. I don't think any of the new movies are being filmed. I'm trying to remember which one is supposed to be the next one coming up. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Always somebody shared a link where all this was located and we could look it up.
Yeah, well, I did share that link, but it doesn't have any years or anything coming up on it.
I know they said Andor is in production already, right? It's not. It's past pre-production. They're actually starting to film. I think that, and I know it's not a movie, so it kind of goes against what we're talking about here. But I know that's in actual production now.
I mean, it's all a staggered timing release, which is great.
Yeah,
and I think the Obi-Wan one is supposed to start sometime here in the spring, if I remember correctly, like maybe around March or something like that. It's supposed to be coming. So it's a lot to look forward to, and it's a lot to just. There's something for everybody. Like if you're not a diehard Star Wars fan, it's not like you're going to necessarily watch all this stuff. Right. Some of it may be appealing to you, some of it may not. But there should be some for everybody. The one that's kind of interesting to me that's listed under the Star Wars stuff is the Willow.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's Lucasfilm. I was going to bring that up later, but
it's Lucasfilm. Yeah. It's under Lucasfilm. I think for me, like with Star Wars in specific, is like you were just saying, Joey, about for someone that's not a hardcore, not even hardcore, but like a a deep knowledge of Star Wars, like where I would say I'm a casual Star Wars fan at best.
Mhm.
I'm most looking forward to the movies. Like the idea that Taika Waititi is going to be delivering us a Star Wars movie has me super excited. Same
Rightfully
with
so.
same with Rogue Squadron from Patty Jenkins. Like I think
Mhm.
those things have me the most excited. And then like further down the line, I think it's like, okay, sure, Disney Plus shows, like I'm pretty excited about that. Like I think I'll watch it. Like I'm really enjoying Mandalorian, but um I think I'm kind of in the same boat with Clint, where it's like you're talking about this thing you're super geeked about, and it's like, hold on, I gotta go look it up, and then now I get why you're super excited.
Mhm.
Or like Ryan's explaining the thing about Boba Fett, and it's like, well, okay, I see why you guys are so excited for that. But like as someone that doesn't get that extra layer, like I think there's still things for the casual fan. I think that's like the best part about the whole Disney announcement was there's legitimately something for everybody with each and every one of their with their IPs.
And like I don't consider myself one of those super fans, like, because I don't have the same knowledge of the lore and the canon that a lot of other what I would
Sure.
call super fans do. I would put myself, above the casual fan. But what I like about a lot of this stuff that is coming out is I think it helps those that are like in my situation kind of develop that better understanding of the mythology that goes along with all the non-Skywalker stuff, that explores the Republic and the Empire. And I never played Knights of the Old Republic, but I would love
Mm-hmm.
for there to be something that would come out for that, because that's super interesting to me. And I'll probably never play that game, but I would love for something to come out that would explore that timeline and maybe some of those same characters from the video game, because I think that would be super interesting for them to do as well.
Sure. Makes sense to me.
How about
Very
you,
good.
Ryan? Is there anything specific from? I mean, Lucasfilm in general. I know you mentioned Willow, so is that
Willow.
something?
That was the
Something
only
you're
thing I was
interested
gonna bring up as like I'm excited for, because I remember watching that in the '90s. I also remember playing the video game
in?
that just took a freaking long ass time. The only thing I could compare to that is like trying to beat Legend of Zelda back in the day on the NES.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about Indiana Jones.
Right.
In the 5th installment here, I can't remember the satirical thing that I saw on, was it the Tonight Show last week? It might have been the Tonight Show on Friday, or actually, you know what? It might have actually been SNL last night when we were watching dinner. But I think that's a very gray area where it's going to be either hit and a big hit, or it's going to be an
Mhm.
extreme flop.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You
They,
know,
they didn't do themselves any favors with the fourth one. So
yeah.
No, they did not. Yeah.
I mean, the
yeah.
story was, it could have been better. I like the overall story arc of it, but the execution, in my opinion, was just not up to par with the previous, And
Mhm.
of course, that's a lot to live up to, because those were very
Right.
iconic films.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's one of those things. Do you do it? I mean, do you ruin the legacy of it by doing it? And they did, and now it's like, well, do we try to make it a little better before we end it all?
And I think
So
that's probably why they're opting to do the 5th film, because they realize that we fell short on the 4th one, and
Mhm.
we don't want to leave that bad taste in the fans' mouths.
yeah, makes sense. We'll see. I personally have not seen the fourth one due to all the blowback from
The
it.
blowback.
It was
yeah.
okay. It's not as bad as some people make it out to be, but
Right.
it definitely was not as good as, say, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Sure.
Mm-hmm, for sure. It's hard. I think like with movies like that, it's like it it will never, honestly, I don't think it will ever live up to what it once was. And I feel like a lot of times, people going into it, they need to take the movie for what it is, and it's a new iteration of a very beloved older story. And
Yep.
you're never going to capture the moments that when the first time you saw that giant boulder come rolling after Indiana Jones, or the first time he takes the idol and like off the stand, or like things like that. You'll never replace those moments. And I feel
Right.
like a lot of people that critique these movies or have strong opinions about these movies they're stuck in this standard that will never live up to it. And I think especially with Star Wars, I think that's one of those things that that hurts. It just sucks to read. Like it's just super annoying to read
Well,
when people behave like that.
when you talk about that, and you're talking about prequels and sequels and reboots and remakes and all that stuff. If you look at the list of the Walt Disney Studios motion pictures production, there's a huge bullet point list of probably nearly 20 things. And there's, I think, one thing that's like totally original, and it's like a documentary. And like everything else is either a spinoff, a reboot, a remake, a prequel, or a sequel. And it's like, that's all they continue doing, is just trying to, capture that same feeling of nostalgia that, people had for some of the original stuff. And it sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't,
Right.
I think a lot of it has to do with the execution. I think all of us are game for just about everything being brought back up again, whether you want to say that's in a prequel or a sequel, whatever. I think we, though, will automatically hold it to a higher standard and be like, okay, you better, bring your A game with this, with the writing and the production and the acting and, everything that goes along with it, because I'm going to be super, critical about this, because I've, it's held such a place in my heart for so long. So you better do the job right. And sometimes it may be, I've said this about Solo before. If Solo wasn't a Star Wars movie, people would have probably given Solo better reviews. They'd be like, oh man, this is a pretty good movie. But because it had that Star Wars link to it, people held it to a higher standard. And that's what worries me about some of this stuff that's coming out that's not very original and is based off of other source material.
Real quick before we move on to the next topic, can we just say that I'm really happy that Lucasfilm isn't just re-releasing stuff with new animation in it, like they did with the original Star Wars films?
Yeah.
Then we're not going to have like Force Awakens and there's more Tauntauns in it or something like that. So
just wait, it'll happen. Just
yeah,
you've opened Pandora's box.
Release. Now all the guns are replaced by walkie-talkies. Yeah,
now it'll be in special 16K 10,800p resolution.
Despite the fact that the original shot was in like 860.
Yeah. It'll be in VR, and you can live inside the Tauntaun.
Don't you know it's gonna come with a hollow Vader along with it? You can just hold it out and be like, execute Order 66.
There you go.
Of course, I said Vader and I meant the Emperor, but yeah.
We got
like, wait a second, that's a terrible Vader accent. I'm like, wait a second, he didn't say that.
I'm breathing. What's wrong with you? But anyway, that's kind of, I think, anything else you guys want to say when it's about Lucasfilms or Star Wars before we move it on?
Yeah, something really stupid. It's just when I first saw like I was following along on Twitter and in the hashtag, and they were just showing slides of like what the next thing was for Star Wars, and Star Wars, the Bad Batch. When I first saw that, I was like, Star Wars, the Bad Bitch. I was like, what's happening here? I was like, oh, the Bad Batch. So that's just a little something funny for you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I kind of hope it is now.
Yeah, right. I kind of wish it was Star Wars, the Bad Bitch.
For Willow, I was happy to see that they brought back the original actor.
Yes, absolutely.
So that should be great to see.
Yeah.
Warwick Davis, is that right?
Sure.
Take
your word for it, because I really don't know.
Brian, the hardcore Willow fan.
I'm not. I didn't say I was a hardcore Willow fan.
He was a fan.
Enjoyed watching it.
Warwick Davis is his name. So,
right. Thank you. One thing about actors, I can't believe Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is going to be. He's 80, I think, this year. He turned 80, or he's.
Lord.
And the movie's slated to be out in 2022, so he's gonna be 82-ish, I guess.
So he's not going to be doing much moving, is what you're saying. He's going to be like pointing and be like, get it. There's a snake over there.
So be curious to see what how that develops as well. But they are for sure bringing him back. So
maybe mocap stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is deviating a little bit, but if you figure William Hurt, I don't know how old he is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in a bunch of the Marvel films, and he's kind of slated to have more role in future movies, including Black Widow, actually. So I would be curious how they adapted all of that. It might be the same premise. I don't know.
Either way, we'll see. I trust them.
They know what they're doing.
Right?
Yep.
They do know what they're doing.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Right.
Moving on to the next thing, we've got a lot of Marvel fans here, so let's not talk about Marvel at all. Let's skip them.
Screw you,
keep
man.
going.
You're a Marvel fan too, angry Nate.
Just skip it.
I am a huge Marvel fan because I mean for sure, like I work on a Marvel product, so this is like super encouraging because as long as Marvel is going to put out new movies, the game I'm working on will continue to have content to put out, and we'll get I'm that excites me because that makes me very happy. But Marvel Studios has a insane amount of stuff coming out as well, which I'm very excited for.
Now on this, they only talked about the shows though. They didn't talk about the movies in the MCU, right?
No, the MCU
Partially.
they mentioned a bit of that stuff.
Right, but that's already all been announced.
Yeah, I don't think there was
Yeah.
there was no new movies announced. There was just information about the movies that were already announced that came out this week. And I don't know if it was part of the investor information or if it just happened to come out around the same time. But like, for instance, Christian Bale's character in Thor 3 Love and Thunder was
Mhm.
finally announced.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then I know they came out and announced that they would not be recasting T'Challa.
Mhm.
And just
Great.
leaving that with Chadwick Boseman. And I want to say they made some other announcement. Maybe it had to do with, did they finally announce like a set date now with Black Widow and the rest of the movies or something like that? Maybe. I'm trying
I
to
didn't
remember
That's
see
what
been
it
that.
pushed back
was.
now officially 15 months because it was actually supposed to have come out in February, right? And then now they're pushing it back to May of next year. So now,
Yeah, I think they're waiting to kick off their kind of their normal summer cycle with it, if I understood correctly.
yeah.
Which kind of bumps everything else back.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense though. I mean, you can't argue with it. Can't
And
Oh,
argue
it
with
was
the other
it was some
confirmation we
casting
got
for.
with was Haley Steinfeld. It's been rumored for quite a while that she's going to be playing
Mhm.
Kate Bishop, but they finally confirmed it.
On Hawkeye, yeah.
Yeah, they confirmed that.
Mhm.
Like for example, what did they say? Ruffalo is going to make a guest appearance and cameo from time to time on She-Hulk and things like that. So
Uh-huh.
that's exciting too. You know that you're going to
Oh,
have.
they confirmed She-Hulk as well.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been
The
confirmed
character,
for a
the
bit.
actor, yeah, or actress.
Oh, sorry, the actor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tatiana Maslany is actually finally confirmed, which is a wonderful casting.
Yeah.
Oh, Captain Marvel too. That was the other one I was thinking of. I think they announced who Miss Marvel was going to be and
Yes.
the actress that was going to play Rambo. I don't remember if it's the mom or the daughter that's in this next one. I think it's the daughter, all grown up, if I remember
The
correctly.
daughter.
Yeah, that's going to be Captain Marvel too, because it happens more sped up on the timeline, whereas the other one was like a set back in the 90s or whatever type of
Oh,
thing.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff that there's possibilities for crossover, and we already kind of assume that there's going to be Easter eggs laid first.
Mhm.
So WandaVision is coming out next month. They've already
Yes.
confirmed that that's obviously going to have a tie to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It's going to
Multiverse,
deal with
yep.
the multiverse, but then they're also saying that this movie is going to be connected here. That's going to be connected here. The biggest bombshell to me was the fact that the director that did Far From Home
Mhm.
is going to be directing Fantastic Four. So at the end of Far From Home, Peter is swinging in the city, and
Spoiler.
I don't remember the actual placement in Manhattan where this happens, but we're kind of assuming this is near the old Avengers Tower, which a lot of the Marvel fans assume is going to become the Baxter Building. But they had a board up. It's circles 1, 2, 3 question mark on the board. So that's
right.
more of the assumption that Spider-Man is going to be somehow injected into the Fantastic Four, and maybe he's going to be that scientific bridge between Reed Richards and what would have at like 3 years ago I would have thought would have been Tony Stark to do. Right.
Yeah, and that's interesting too. And it's still the shared studio, I think, contract right now with Spider-Man, right, for the next movie that's coming out. So I guess that's why it wasn't part of Disney's announcement. But obviously, all that stuff came out that past week too about casting for the next Spider-Man movie and who was going to be in it, and and that's going to obviously tie into the multiverse stuff. And I think this part wasn't confirmed, but it's been a rumor for a while that they may bring Daredevil into the fold for that. And if it's that, or if it's one of the Marvel TV shows, I don't care what it is, but that's been one of my favorite Marvel TV shows that has come out, has been the Daredevil series. And I would love for him to get brought in somehow as either a recurring character in the movies to where he can get his own movie and redo that movie version of him, or to where he gets a continuation maybe of his series, or maybe he's like a co-star, on one of the other ones. I'm looking forward to that. That was pretty cool to hear some of the stuff that may be playing out in the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
I'd
I
love
would
to
love to see
see-
Kingpin in
Yes.
MCU film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what you were gonna say, Nate?
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say
Nice.
that'd be really nice to see them bring back Kingpin, them do a Daredevil, Punisher, Kingpin, something, because that is
Yeah.
super iconic in the comics.
hmm
Like that whole battle between all three of them is just something that I love seeing in the comics, and I'd love to see it on the big screen.
He wasn't part of the Sinister Six, was he? The original group?
Kingpin.
No.
No.
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Because there's that too. Building is that they're starting to build out the Sinister Six into the MCU as
Mhm.
well, with the Spider-Man movie. So that would be interesting to see how that came out.
So many things on the rumor mill about them
Hmm.
obviously bringing back everybody from past films, right? There's talk about bringing. I think Tobey Maguire is like the rogue issue at the moment right now because he didn't get treated very well by Sony initially during the filmings. But as far as their Spider-Verse goes, if they could successfully bring back the characters they've already established, like who wouldn't want to see Doc Ock played by the original,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
I
Well,
would.
Well, that's what that's one of the things they confirmed too. Was
Yeah.
was him coming back in that Molina coming back in that role, and I think
Yep.
that's awesome.
That's huge. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
huge.
I've seen speculation too about that's how they're going to get Peter Parker off, is they're going to bring one of the other Spider-Mans from one of the other universes in at the same time and prove that that's not him, that it was like some kind of faked film or something like that. So it's interesting stuff. I just want to know if anybody else, because I didn't see it anywhere on the internet, and I feel like I'm the only person that saw this in the Loki trailer, which they finally played a full trailer for it, that there was a scene where Black Widow was like sitting on a rock
Mhm.
and you could
I
see
saw
her
you post
back.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I was like, oh my god! Like I rewound it like 3-4 times and finally like screen capped it and then cropped it and enlarged it, and I was like asking people, I'm like, is this who I think it is? Like I was like geeking out over that part.
Yeah,
So you think that's Black Widow, huh?
it is.
That's
gotta be her.
my thought.
Why can't it be like Lady Loki or someone like that?
I mean,
think
I
that-
don't know who for sure it is. I'm just saying that's who it felt like to me. They were leading us to believe that it was her, and that somehow, because this seems like I forgot. I think it was Tanner I was talking to the other day in one of our chats, that the Loki, because the plot's still really not like defined what the Loki series is going to be about,
Right.
but it feels like, because there was that scene too in the trailer where he's DB Cooper, or who we are led to believe is
Mhm.
the character of DB Cooper. It feels like to me, this is just my hypothesis, that it's going to be a series of him going in time and being people like DB Cooper that have just like either mysteriously vanished, or like some kind of unsolved mystery type thing where we don't know what happened to this person, or how did this specific thing happen type of situation, like a whodunit almost, and like he's the person at the center of it through this, obviously this agency that he's going to be now forced to work for. Which, speaking of which, did Owen Wilson not throw y'all off? Because like I was like, okay, my ears are hearing something that
Right.
sounds like Owen Wilson, but my eyes are not seeing something that looks like Owen Wilson, and I was so
Right,
thrown
right.
off that whole time.
With
Absolutely.
the gray, shaggy hair and the mustache. I was just waiting for the wow.
I think everyone was waiting for that for sure. Yeah.
Wow, there's Loki. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Man, there's so much Marvel stuff. So one thing that I thought was going to happen was the next Spider-Man movie was, I mean, besides setting up for the Sinister Six, was I thought they were going to go into the Secret War stuff because of the kind of the teaser at the end of was it the end of Endgame, when they had like the Skrull invasion, and they've kind of teased that. But there's going to be a standalone Secret Invasion, which is also away from Captain Marvel 2. It's away from Spider-Man. So they're just expanding the hell out of this universe.
Yeah.
They're just doing whatever
Well,
they can.
and then there's one with Rhodes in it too, with War Machine Armor
Mhm.
Wars.
Armor Wars.
It's just like everything, man. It's like everybody's getting something. You get a spinoff. You get a spinoff. Everybody gets a spinoff. It's like Oprah's in the house.
Where's my Hulk movie?
Oh, you get a She-Hulk. That's
Yeah, but you do
that's
understand
great.
the issue with the rights.
All right, but
You know,
At
Universal
least still wants a
technically
Hulk
still
movie.
owns the rights to the Hulk.
Yeah.
So as far as doing a standalone movie, they won't budge.
Yeah, they won't budge.
Yeah.
But I mean, hell, Hulk's gonna be a big. I mean, he's
He's a
got
big
4 more
part.
movies on that deal, so he'll be
fine.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'll be around for a long time. There'll be a lot
And
for
he's
him.
gonna play a role in She-Hulk for here and there.
Yeah,
for sure.
which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which version of it is supposed to like? It is are all these? I know, not all of them. So I shouldn't say that. But are the bulk of these series post Endgame?
One would
Like,
assume so, just based on timeline. I wouldn't expect them to be doing anything like a prequel, with the exception of Black Widow. Let me state that caveat here. I would assume that everything as far as what we're looking at is like the meat and potatoes of the MCU here. Because I'm not going to
Including-
count something like Moon Knight really contributing a whole big factor towards the larger MCU. But things like WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, that's questionable because it's its own little timeline. Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, obviously Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Ironheart.
Yeah, Ironheart.
Ironheart, that would, in my opinion, would be slightly outside.
Interesting.
I'm wondering if Moon Knight's not going to be like. I don't know why. I have this weird feeling that Moon Knight's going to end up being the one show that's going to like be bridged into some movie or some character we're just like not expecting. Like all of a sudden, Moon Knight kicks off like the next phase of the MCU somehow, because it's like it keeps flying under the radar. Like
Right.
all these other series, like everybody's talking about the actors that are being cast, and it could just be me reading too much into it. They may just not have it as developed as some of the other ones and as fleshed out. But it's just like you don't hear anything about Moon Knight. So it's like, are they doing that on purpose? Are they almost not revealing, what this show is going to really be about and who's going to be in it, besides obviously the title character? So I don't know.
The other thing that's going to be a big bombshell once it hits, in my opinion, is going to be Eternals. You don't cast Angelina
yeah.
Jolie in a lead role for a movie
Yep.
that's expected
sure.
to be mediocre.
Right. That's a good point.
And there's so many more possibilities for where that's going to go with, especially space. And you factor in Thor: Love and Thunder, which is the only movie in the entire MCU franchise that's getting a 4th installment. So
Right.
space
So
is
far.
going to play a large role moving forward into phases 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I mean,
Four,
like
enough said.
Guardians 3 as well,
Guardians,
right?
yes.
So yeah, for sure, with Captain Marvel as well.
Yep.
And then there's
Yay.
Blade.
That one too.
There's
So many more
Blade.
possibilities where that's going to go.
Yeah, there's
Well-
they can do so much with the Blade character as well.
Wesley Snipes better show up, man. That's all I'm saying.
Right? Just
He
And
Just
Ryan
somewhere.
Reynolds and Jessica Biel. Why not?
I
Even
mean,
He
with
showed
the
up at Blade in
multiverse,
the
anything's
Shadows. Does that
possible.
count?
You know,
Blade multiverse. You got Triple H and Ryan Reynolds scrapping it up.
I mean, you figure we're talking about the normal continuum in the Earth 616 timeline, right? But because of the multiverse and anything being possible now, and introducing TVA, Time Variance Authority, anything is at their disposal. To be completely frank,
Right. That's a good thing.
they can
Right,
pretty
yeah,
much do
that's a
anything
good
they
point.
want now.
Because with the way Endgame did, like the quantum realm zipping back and forth, like
Yeah.
you can literally explain any timeline, any happening, any order.
I
They
just
can do
don't
whatever
want
they
them
want.
to use
They
that as a
Right.
crutch, though, because I feel
No, yeah, agreed.
and a
Well, I was
lot
gonna
of
say-
people kind of feel this way too. Don't
Yeah.
use time travel
Right.
as a way to explain something that already happened and kill it. I'm just like, so
But you say that with time travel, and that's totally understandable because I hate that trope where they just go back with time. But do you have that same feeling if they end up doing stuff, multiverse stuff, not necessarily timeline stuff? Like, oh, okay, but we're going to go to this other, not timeline, but this other
Dimension,
universe,
yeah.
right? And this is going to play out differently than what it did. Like, as a super diehard Iron Man fan, like, what would you do if all of a sudden they use that as an out to recast that character? Yes, it's still Tony Stark. Yes, it's still Iron Man, but it's somebody that looks totally different, and it's a new set of 3 movies that go along with it, but it's in a different universe it's taking place.
I have no words. I'm just gonna shake my head and say I have no words.
Well, but I think Marvel's done a pretty good job saying they don't even want to depend on that. Yeah, it's
I think
something
they
they
have
have.
so many characters
Mhm.
at their repertoire right now that they don't have to do that.
No, and I know, like I said, I don't think they want to. I think they made that pretty clear in Endgame, like, okay, we're doing this, but we're not doing this again.
And
Yeah.
they've got so much other source material,
Right.
like from the comics, that like Iron Lad, I think is kind of
Harley.
the illusion from that kid showing up at the funeral at the end, and I
Right.
can't remember his name. I'm sure Ryan knows it.
Harley. Yep.
Yeah, probably knows his middle name and his social security number, and his blood
Wasn't his
type.
favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah, but you know that's something that you could see done, and I think you could do that and do the
Yeah.
fans service and do the character, not do the character a disservice by doing it that way. And like you say, I think Marvel's smart enough to not, lay an egg on this, so to
Well,
speak, and do things
that's
the right way.
right. That's been the appeal of the MCU is it's been so well done in the sense of story.
Yep.
That's why people are really all about it. So they know that they're not stupid. They're not like,
Now,
oh, just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. They'll go with it.
I know we need to move on to the Disney part, but there was one last Marvel thing that I wanted to bring up, and I was waiting, and nobody else brought it up, so I'm going to bring it up now. They said that they were not going to recast the character of T'Challa, but
Mhm.
it's kind of ambiguous as to whether they're going to have somebody else take on that mantle of the Black Panther,
Right.
which we discussed when we did the Chadwick Boseman tribute episode, and there's a lot of talk going on around there because they didn't say they weren't going to, but they didn't go the other way either. They just said, hey, we're not recasting T'Challa. In other words, nobody's going to come in and take Boseman's place and say, oh, this is T'Challa, and we're going to pretend like nothing happened, like the man that played this character didn't pass away. But do you think, A, they're going to pass on the Black Panther mantle in the second Black Panther? And if so, who do you think it's going to end up being? And why Shuri?
Yeah, well, you answered my first question, or first, yes, I thought the first one. It just makes a lot of sense. And from what I understand, in the comics, she was at one point Black Panther,
She was.
which also makes sense. And first of all, it's a totally bummer situation. I'm really glad we did our tribute to him because it's a sad situation and he deserved it. But I wouldn't be shocked if they even did some kind of time lapse at the beginning to say this happened. And I mean, for all we know now with the multiverse and everything else, that T'Challa isn't dead. It's just he's elsewhere, and until he returns until something changes, they need to pass on Black Panther to someone else in the kingdom. It goes obviously to a sibling who is also in royalty, so it makes sense for her to be the next one.
Yeah, and there are 2 suits.
That's true. And where's the second one now?
Theoretically, there's probably the ability to make more than 2 suits, but there's Black Panther, and then there's the Golden Jaguar suit that Killmonger was wearing.
And where's that now?
I believe they're still both in Wakanda.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what
I mean,
I'm
that
not
would
trying to
be my
smart
assumption,
aleck.
especially the Golden Jaguar suit. It should still be in Wakanda.
So
Okay.
does it go with I'm going to ask possibly a noob question and sound like an idiot, but I'm going to go ahead and ask anyway. Does it go with the ring? Does the suit not? I don't want to say like Green Lantern style, but almost like Green Lantern style. Like, is the suit associated with the ring that's passed down, or like is it a suit that Shuri can just replicate? Like she can just build another suit.
Gotcha.
Like, oh, this
No.
suit got destroyed. I'm asking. I'm not telling.
I think it. Well, I mean, that's the nice thing about all the Wakanda technology is they can kind of do whatever they want.
I think it is.
Man. But I think you're right.
I think
But
the
I think
ring is just symbolic, and I think because she made improvements to his suit,
Yes,
in the first one. So
Right.
I think she could just build her own. That's how I kind of see it playing
You said
out.
it. You said it spot on. How I understand it too. It's more of a symbolic or a meaningful gesture rather than a part of the actual being the Black Panther.
yes,
Yeah.
It's ceremonial.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's how I kind of see it playing out. Is that this is just me. Like in the beginning, they'll probably have some kind of ceremony / funeral type of thing to acknowledge the fact that something happened to them, and I don't know what that's going to be. I'm sure a lot of people will have opinions on how he should be quote unquote killed off.
They will.
And then I think it's going to be like a journey for several of the main characters during the movie to kind of find their way now that he's gone. And then I think it's going to probably end the second movie. Like the third act is going to probably be one of them finally taking on that mantle, whether it's Shuri or Okoye, I've heard her name thrown around, or, several other possibilities. And then there'll probably be a third movie that'll come out with them all the way taking the Black Panther mantle, or they'll show up in another, one of the Marvel movies in between before they get their own or something like that. That's just me personally, and what my hypothesis is on the passing of the mantle, because I don't think they just leave it. Agreed. I think they leave T'Challa, but I don't think they leave Black Panther.
No, agreed.
Of course not.
No. I don't think they're gonna jump straight into it either, where it's just gonna be like, here's the second movie, all of a sudden Shuri just appears on the screen, or whoever takes over the mantle just appears.
Right.
Like, I think they're gonna, it's like what Joey said. It's gonna be a slow build. They're gonna let the audience and let the characters mourn, T'Challa and Chadwick's passing, and do it properly and respectfully, and in a way that it's not just like in the opening credits, where a lot of times like I like to think back to like the latest Terminator movie, where literally in the first like 30 seconds it's like the other two movies in between didn't happen. This is where we jump off, we killed the kid, and this is Terminator 3. So they're not, hopefully they don't do that, where it's just like a quick flash and then they just kind of forget it. I think that's going to be a nice tribute before we move on.
And honestly, I don't think, and again, this is just my guess, I don't think it's going to end up being he was defeated by some kind of, the super villain or something. I think it's going to probably be something that kind of pays tribute to his actual passing. And, it's going to be something that, like, quote unquote, natural causes, I guess, not necessarily being killed by somebody else. Because I personally think that would probably be a disservice to say, oh, he was killed off by, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of the other big Black Panther, main villains. I think it'll probably just be something else that happened, like some similar to what actually happened to him, a disease or something that he was stricken by. That's how I see it playing out.
No.
Agreed.
No.
Ryan Coogler definitely has his work cut out for him with the script.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Good luck.
One Marvel thing that I wasn't sure about, and I'm too lazy to Google.
You're not going to Google it?
Falkland and Winter Soldier. Is this happening post Endgame, or is this like in between? Okay, so it is post Endgame. So he doesn't. This is maybe his journey in becoming Cap.
I think it's both of them sharing the mantle, isn't it? Isn't it like a back and forth thing? Because both happen in the comic. That's the way I understood it. Was it going to be, it's going to be them both kind of being it, but being their own person.
Well, that's
at the same
where
time?
the trailer, or I don't know if you want to call it really a stinger at this point, but Anthony Mackie's character specifically states in all of that, the legacy of the shield is confusing, or I don't remember the exact words, but the legacy of the shield is blank, whatever his wording is. So it's up for interpretation, I guess, for us to really think this way or that way until we actually see the series. Because if you look at it in context within the MCU, Bucky is a criminal, right?
Yes.
He is a criminal for all the different things that he did while he was under brainwash. So having him as Captain America probably would be a disservice to the United States. And that's why they give this other character, and it's yet to be known if this is going to be like the quote unquote US agent within the MCU, but they bring forth somebody to kind of take that face of it in front of the camera, but behind the scenes, it's still Bucky and Falcon that are really doing the hard work for everything. There's going to be a lot of gaps you're going to fill in for us. I know. Marvel is good about one thing. They're good at storytelling. And that kind of leads me to my last thing. And I think this is a good way for us to segue back into the Disney portion of the conversation here. A lot of people have asked questions about why is Black Widow being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back further when they finally gave in and they pushed Mulan to, pay-per-view and now on Disney Plus. My opinion for this is Mulan was a standalone film. And yes, there was a lot of money invested into the production of it. However, when you're doing storytelling 10, 20, and we don't know what's going to go beyond phase 4, 5, 6, it could be like 50 films. Having this film in the middle of all of that, theoretically, because by the end of phase 6, we're directly in the middle of it, right? Starting off phase 4. This is a very crucial storytelling point for Marvel to really keep going. You're not just going to push that out to the masses for them to just watch it whenever they want.
And, with Ryan saying that, and I hadn't thought about this before, first of all, what Ryan says makes complete sense. And second, because this again is like a out of the standard timeline film, as it takes place before the events of Endgame. It makes me wonder what happens at the end of that movie,
Mhm.
to where they're not, because again, if it's just like almost her solo film and that's it, and it just kind of, it just ends, they could have already pushed it out. But now that Ryan's mentioning that, and now I'm thinking like, oh, like I wonder what the last 20 minutes of this movie shows. Because if it was just an end credit scene or a mid credit scene like they've done before to tease stuff, I mean, crap, they could have thrown that in anywhere and it wasn't that big of a deal. But it makes me think that towards the end of this movie, there's some kind of something that takes place, whether it's the introduction of a new villain or the introduction of a new main character. There's something there that I think they're, like Ryan said, they're waiting to put it in a normal order, where it's like every month or a couple of months, there's another one coming out to kind of lead up to it.
The one
Mhm.
plausible theory that I have, and this is from the comic books as well, Natasha is not the only Black Widow. Same way that there was more than one Winter Soldier, it's just Bucky
Right.
was the most prevalent.
Mhm.
Her sister, who for the life of me right now, I can't remember, but her quote unquote sister in the film, who we've seen in numerous trailers, there is the theory that she becomes the new Black Widow within the terms of
Mhm.
the Avengers. But, again, a lot of different ways that they could play this, and we just have to wait and see how they're telling the story.
For sure. I'm impatient. I love that Marvel's doing all this, and I think you're right. I think I have full faith in all the writers and the directors and all the actors and everything they're going to put out. I don't want to wait years for it to develop, but I'm going to enjoy the journey, I think is the best way that I can put it.
Well, to regain excitement for Clint here, since he is unfortunately not involved too much in the conversation, maybe 4 or 5 years down the line, we can actually see MCU's version of the X-Men.
Yeah, that'd be
Right?
cool.
Now
But
that
you're right.
Fantastic Four is being brought into the fold, and
Mhm.
that's a real thing, the next
Mhm.
Fox property to be fully introduced is the other super team. Gotta be
It's
the
very
X-Men.
promising.
Yeah.
Very promising that this is going to be coming, and that just is a whole new thing. Because I mean, think about how many X-Men there are.
Yep.
I mean, that's a whole thing, man, onto
Just
itself.
a
They could have
few.
50 movies just for X-Men
They
characters.
already have.
Yeah.
But to see
Yeah.
Needs to be better.
Disney's version of these characters, because let's
Mhm.
be honest, they're spot on with their casting.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
And it's only gotten better for Marvel Studios as time's gone on,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's
I'll be interested to
exciting.
see a Wolverine that's 5'3" and 300 pounds.
Danny
Right.
DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
There you go.
Speaking of Danny DeVito, leading into the rest of our
Oh my
Disney
God.
discussion. So all the other millions of other Disney properties, they've got Hulu, they've got FX, they've got all these other brands that are under the Disney umbrella. Always Sunny in Philadelphia is getting 4 more seasons. Cannot wait. That is the one thing that I'm looking forward to the most outside of the kind of the big announcements. So yeah, Always Sunny. I'm so excited.
And this is going to put him into what, season like 15?
I think so. I'm gonna Google it.
Oh, I already dinged it. We're good.
Yeah.
By the way, we're all 4 wearing hats. So
Yeah.
that needs a ding.
But we definitely need to talk about the Disney stuff, because there's a
We do.
lot.
Mhm.
There is. Yeah, it'll put them to season 18.
18.
Is season 18 is what they're gonna.
But I think they had a 35 season arc when they came up with this.
It's wonderful. But yes, there's just so much Disney stuff going on. I think another thing that I was super excited about, for me, I'm not big on Disney animation because, I mean, I grew up watching the Disney cartoons, but as of late, I've kind of fallen off of that, and it's not really my jam. But there's some that are coming out that I'm actually super excited about, like Chippendale Rescue Rangers with
Hell
Andy
yes,
Samberg
dude.
and John Mulaney. Like, come on, that's gonna
Did
be
they say who they're
amazing.
voicing?
No, they didn't say who yet, but I don't know who's going to be who, but it's going to be great. Like,
Interesting.
yeah,
Because if somebody's going to be like Zipper, it's not going to be that exciting,
right. And I think the other one that I'm very, very excited about is the Lightyear. So the Buzz
Yeah.
Lightyear story,
Yes.
voiced by Chris Evans. So and the way Disney announced that one was kind of sucky
Confusing.
because it was very confusing. It took Chris Evans to go to Twitter himself to explain that he is not, like, people were like, why are you recasting Buzz's voice? And people were getting all mad. And then Chris Evans himself had to come out and be like, "No, calm down. This movie is based on the person that the toy
It's
in the
based off
movie is
of.
based off
Yep.
of." So, very exciting stuff coming from them. What about you guys? What are you guys looking forward to? Clint.
That's a good question. I got to look this all up again. I got too excited about the Marvel and other stuff. So give me a second. How about you guys go first and I'll find it here in a minute.
One project, I don't even know where it is in production yet or even pre-production, but they talked about it, is Shogun. Being of
Okay.
Japanese ancestry, I'm very
Mhm.
curious to see what they're going to do with this. And, oh, shit. I forget what struck my interest more. I think it was the person that was actually directing it. And knowing that he, as a storyteller, is going to tell us a good story.
Mm.
So, I mean, let's be frank. I'm a fourth generation American. I can't speak my native language, but I have a lot of respect for my ancestry. And I'd like to see more of my culture displayed in the proper way, which I'm really hoping that they do here to the mainstream, right?
Yeah.
I thought
and-
Nate was going to be excited about the Mighty Ducks series.
I am too. Yeah, hockey, sports.
Quack, 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 quack.
Quack, quack, quack.
You know, I will say what I actually definitely feel this now. I look at this, I totally forgot. I'm looking forward to some of the animated stuff. I think it's gonna be really fun to watch that kind of stuff with my daughter. Baymax, Zootopia, Tiana, and Moana all are getting animated shows on Disney Plus, which I think will be a delight to enjoy together. I think Disney's really up their shows. I think, you know, you could go back to the 90s of, you know, Aladdin 7, Jafar gets glasses kind of thing, and just realize that they didn't put the effort into the series like they did, or the second movies. I think that's changing or has changed. So I'm really excited to see where they go with that in the future.
I'm also excited about the Baymax series because I was talking to somebody the other day about this, that I don't think Big Hero 6 gets the love it deserves.
Agreed.
Because of all the other Disney movies that have come out. I think it just kind of flies under the radar because it's like, oh, it's a superhero Disney movie. We already saw that with Incredibles.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it came out around Frozen did too. That didn't help.
That didn't help either. But like, I'm very interested to see how that plays out because again, I love that character. I love that movie.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm kind of excited about too is some of this live action stuff that they're supposed to be doing. Not necessarily the Disney animated stuff. Okay. Specifically the Sister Act movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that first one. The second one, not so much. But the first one, I just love the story that it tells. And I've kind of got like a personal attachment to it. I had a very good teacher in high school who did it was like sociology and psychology and film type class with us. And that was one of his favorite movies that he used to always show us. And so it's got a kind of a special place in my heart, but I love the fact that they're doing Sister Act again. I'm just really excited about that. Probably more so than I should be as an adult.
We don't know what it's going to be, right? But it
doesn't matter. I mean, we're all about nostalgia here, so the fact that they're doing a third installment is exciting.
Say another prayer for you. Sorry.
Hocus Pocus 2. I finally recently watched Hocus Pocus for the first time in my entire life, which was like after watching it, I'm just like, why did I wait this long to watch it? It was it was so much fun. It was such a goofy but also very heartwarming movie. I'm very curious how Hocus Pocus 2 is going to play out. Hopefully very similar to the first one. I think they can tell a very similar story with those characters. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Do you see some of the sports stuff? I know Ryan's going to tune us out for a sec, but there's some sports documentaries like with the Greek Freak with Giannis.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. And Chris Paul as well. Yeah.
Did I get it? I didn't get it.
Nice try though. A for effort. I'm just looking at this list. This list is honestly so crazy.
Do you guys know what the latest, like the absolute latest thing on this list that's supposed to come out is? How far in the future this list actually goes?
24, right?
You can tell us.
Well, I think that's part of the thing. I think there's not a lot of dates associated with some of them as of right now.
Okay.
What I want us to talk about before we wrap this thing up is after all this stuff comes out, or once like a lot of it starts to hit Disney Plus.
Hmm.
Because right now, I don't feel like we can mention them in the same breath as Netflix. I just think Netflix has just got a step up on them, besides their library of Star Wars, Marvel, and Disney that they just already had built in.
Mm-hmm.
But for original content, do we start to talk about them in the same breath that we talk about Netflix and their original content?
Absolutely. If this is all stuff that's coming, yeah, absolutely. Because to be honest, I know a little bit about Netflix original content, but it's so spread out that I don't know a lot of it. I mean, I know there's like
Mhm.
documentaries. I have no idea what they are. You know, there's even, we watch kids programming all the time and find something new all the time. We're like, I don't know what this is. Why not? So, Netflix is kind of like we have it and they have maybe more of it, but Disney's doing an excellent job saying we have it. It's a lot more coming and it's stuff that's actually relevant. Kind
I
of
think that's I think that's the difference for me with Netflix and Disney Plus is, for a while Netflix was absolutely king. Like they were right at the top with original content, really cool documentaries, really cool shows that but people started, like networks like Disney started to catch on, and they were like, we
Yeah.
don't need Netflix. We can do our own streaming service, and we control all the IPs.
Yeah.
So when you have a Disney Plus that can literally put out whatever Marvel show or Star Wars show that they see fit onto like the Mandalorian, like for example, the Mandalorian, you're never gonna find something like that for Netflix. Like they'd
Because
have to come up with their own their
exactly
own character, right?
IP,
They don't have
yeah.
they don't have a character to lean on.
Have 50 spin-offs of Stranger Things or whatever the case
How
may
many
be.
big mouths can they have a spin-off of?
Yeah. And I want to mention this part too is I do not like the way Disney is doing their whatever the terminology they're using, Premiere Plus or whatever it's called, like what they did with Mulan, where you have to pay $30. I think they're doing that with that. Oh, what's it called? Raya and the Dragon. I believe something came out, and I believe there was another one that was mentioned that was going to end up being doing the same thing, and I just don't like that. It's like I already pay a monthly service to you to do this, and I know some people are the other opinion. They're like, oh, hey, I don't mind spending $30 because that's how much I spend going to the movie theaters, but it's not the same experience. Like that's my argument against it. It's not the same as going to a big movie theater. It's not the same as seeing it on a 50-foot screen. And the Dolby THX blow your eardrum surround sound and sitting down and just
shaking in the
experience
chair and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather if I'm going to spend $30 on it, give me the Blu-ray, along with it. Then maybe we can talk. Oh, if that's what they do for Black Widow, for instance. Okay, yeah, I'll pay the $30 and then like I get a code that I redeem and you mail me the Blu-ray. Then to me it makes more sense. But me just to rent it for whatever it is, 24, 48, 72 hours and pay $30 for it. No. It's
Well, I
like
think
the whole thing with Wonder Woman. Like it's coming to HBO Max for free, and so is a lot of their other stuff for 2021, like Matrix 4 and all that kind of stuff. But if my movie theater is still in the safe conditions that they've been doing things, where it's like just me in the movie theater, basically, like I'd much rather go see Wonder Woman for Christmas in the movie theater. Again, if it's safe, obviously.
Right.
And if 800 people show up at the movie theater, then I'm out. Then, I'll wait till it gets a little less busy. But I just don't get like, I don't know. I don't understand where they got this from. Like just randomly all of a sudden decided, oh, we're going to go ahead and put it on here, but we're going to charge you $38. And now Mulan's available for free.
I'd be pissed if I paid for Mulan and it was free now.
Most definitely. You definitely owe those people a Blu-ray.
Yeah. And I think part of that might be you're just a collector like the rest of us and want the actual physical copy, because that's how I feel too. I'd rather buy a DVD, have it to watch, or DVD, I'm aging myself here, a Blu-ray or a 4K, and have a digital code that comes with it and do that for $30 and pay a streaming service for whatever it is. Just because, I like having a physical media more. And you're absolutely right. The experience is not the same. And I gotta give them a little slack. I mean, they are in a very unprecedented situation and they do have to keep jobs, have to make money, whatever the case is. But I don't know. I agree with you. I don't know if this is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, I think HBO just kind of, threw down the gauntlet and said, oh, hey, you're going to keep charging people $30. Well, guess what? For the next year, we're giving everybody that has our thing, the movie for free to, to watch on our streaming service, which I'm kind of bummed I can't get it on the devices that I have right now. It's not available on Roku, which is pretty much what we have in our house. But anyway, I'm wondering if that's going to change, Disney. I doubt it. I doubt that they're going to simultaneously release like Black Widow on Disney Plus as it comes out at the movie theater, because I think that's going to, and HBO may regret it. I don't know.
Right.
Because I think once you get to end of spring, beginning of summer, and people start feeling more comfortable and restrictions start loosening because the vaccine's more widely available, I think they may end up regretting that decision when some of these movies come out and don't exactly make the projection that they thought, because people are just like, well, I can just watch it for free and I don't have to go out to the movie theater and watch it. Because there are people that are opposite of me that would much rather sit at home and watch it. There's people that probably, even before the pandemic, were not going to the movie theaters just because they don't like that, and we're just waiting for it to come out and just watching it at home. And now you're giving them that option without any like question. Just stay home. You can watch it. You don't even have to go, wait 3 months or whatever it is for it to hit Blu-ray. Just sit at home. Here it is.
I will say Disney's always been money hungry. That's not, I mean, look at their merchandising. Look at they bought Pixar because they wanted the money. They don't care about the stories.
No doubt. The toys.
Yeah, they want the residual income down the right.
Right. So it's not a surprise. You're right. Time will tell. But I think there are a lot of people that I think movie theaters, once everything's safe, are going to be busy for a while, even if they're showing old stuff. I think people will be excited to go see like Jurassic Park again. You know what I mean?
That's what they've been doing at Bond.
Well, I know, but it's not
older movies.
But it's not quote unquote safe everywhere. People
right.
feel safe, and there's this lull in production because we've been in this. I could see like Jaws. There's going to be like full movie screenings of Jaws happening. You know what I mean? Because
they're going to show every movie ever made from the beginning of time once we open up theaters.
Citizen Kane.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? No, people will go. You know what? Mac and Me could come out. I might consider going and seeing that in the theaters.
Like, there's going to be just festivals of like, let's just hang out and chat in person,
dude.
Right? Like,
that's a whole other topic for another podcast. But I definitely agree. I think movie theaters are going to they're going to make up for some of this.
They'll bounce back.
I hope so. I want to go. So anyway, another discussion.
I mean, for me, really quickly, I understand where you and you're coming from, Clint, where you're coming from, Joey. And yes, for Disney Plus specifically, if I had to pay $30 for Mulan and then it came up for free, I would be pissed. But if there was no plan for it to be released at all on a streaming service afterwards for free, I would have very happily paid $30 for a movie that I would want to see. So if Black Widow came out and they said it's $30 if you want to watch it tonight, I would absolutely pay for it, knowing that it would not be available on Disney Plus later. That obviously will not be the case because they've already set the standard with Mulan. So I would absolutely just wait until it's free, or I find another way to watch it, whatever, that's for a offline podcast. But I would, the only thing that chafes me about that model is having to pay for it and then also getting it for free later. If it's just a straight one-time fee, $30, view it, gone from streaming later on, I'm okay with that, and I would pay that for a movie I would want to watch.
Yeah.
How about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on that?
I would probably pay it, even if it was going to come out for free later, just because I want to watch it.
You want to see it?
I'm impatient.
That's fair too.
Yeah, I'm impatient. I want to know the story. And I would not want to have my friends talking about it, because I also have other friends that are as fanatical as me, and they'll watch it. They'll pay the $30 for it. I don't want to be the brunt of the conversation and hear something that I shouldn't have heard if I haven't already seen it. I don't want it ruined for me. Because going back to Endgame, a very asshole friend in our larger collector community out here in Hawaii said that Tony died. And I mean, granted, we kind of expected it. It was being foreshadowed from many movies, but to hear him come out and say it, and he actually had a screen grab, because I guess apparently he got it from somebody that got it from somebody else, that got it from the internet, that posted it from somewhere in Europe because they're ahead of time, right? From us. I was like, you are a fucking piece of shit. I hate you. And I unfriended him on
like
Facebook.
The third time Ryan has cussed today. We missed out on the other two because it was off recording. It was on the pre-party.
The pre-party.
Well, there you go.
Don't make
Ryan worked up.
I'm telling
Angry
you.
Angry Ryan today.
Angry Ryan comes out.
Any last thoughts about this whole Disney thing? We've kind of hit every spot that we could, I think, today with this discussion.
We could talk more, of course, but
for sure we could easily talk.
But yeah, it's exciting times. It's a very optimistic outlook to get us excited about the future, and I'm excited about that.
It's a
I
good
think
time to be an investor in Disney.
Yes, that too. For
I
sure.
regret not buying their stock when it dropped down like $40 last. What was it? May. It took a
Sure,
real
whatever.
shit hit. I mean, let's be frank and be positive here. Most of the stocks that most of us probably would follow, like for example, Funko, they have been going up. Took a small
Mhm.
little dive, I think, on Friday, but if you compare it to like 4 months ago, it's definitely been going up. And
haven't
I
even
invest in
looked.
Funko, you know, so I'm happy to see that the company itself is doing better. And I hold out hope that some of our friends that were unfortunately the brunt of the layoffs may be able to go back to the company that
Well,
they love to
Ashley's
work
back,
for.
so that's always good.
That's a
Yeah,
plus,
Ashley's
yeah.
back, so that's
For
dope.
example, for
Yeah,
her.
Yep.
But there's others.
Yep.
So hopefully down the line, once things get settled a bit more and we have more forward-facing progress, I'm hopeful that 2021 will bring great things.
There you go.
Well said. Well
And
said.
on a positive note.
And on a positive note. But really, thank you, Disney, for truly providing us with so much entertainment and podcast material for the next eternity. So we appreciate that.
Way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us this week. Like we said right off the beginning, unfortunately there is no game this week because we wanted to maximize our time talking. And I think we did that today. Mission accomplished. We got a lot of our thoughts out, and we're really excited for what Disney has showcased and what's to come on all their big IPs and even the smaller ones. And there's a lot of fun things on the horizon. So quickly, again, thank you for joining us. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at _Dorksman. We'll have our usual schedule of things this week. Ryan will be streaming on his channel Monday, Thursday, Saturday.
Hopefully
Yes,
Monday,
there you
Thursday,
go.
we'll see. Work again permitting.
Work depending, yes, as always. That is, Clint will be playing some Splatoon on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on the _Dorksman on Twitch.
Yep.
So add him as a friend, shoot some paint, have some fun. It's good times. As usual, we will have our Dorksman game night this upcoming Friday. Ryan will be hosting that. That'll be 7 p.m. Yeah.
Probably the last one of the
year.
year unless Clint decides to do one on Christmas Day. New Year's Day, I would say for sure is out.
Right, I would too.
Unless you feel otherwise, Clint, and you're going to be filling in. But yeah, New Year's Day, and I think Nate can speak from this as well. Within the Asian culture, it is a very special day because you're starting off and you're trying to kickstart everything on a good note. So we typically do spend it with family.
You ready for the 13th month of 2020?
Hey,
yes.
Don't jinx it, man. Don't jinx it.
Lousy smarch weather.
Do you imagine if the clock rolls over and it's literally 13:01, like as you guys were joking earlier? That would be terrible. Would be Yeah. So yeah, please make it a point if you can to join us this Friday. It'll be a good time. It's been a very trying year. We appreciate everyone that's stuck with us and started to hang out with us on the Friday nights based off something that we created on a whim, just as a place to hang out and as a place for people to just have some good, positive fun. Sure, it gets kind of weird and goofy at times, but it's all in good fun, and we have a good time doing it. So we appreciate everyone that comes out. Yeah. Anything else from anybody before we wrap it up?
Wrap it up, B.
Wrap it up. All right. And with that, that's my secret. I'm always angry.
Rogue One's the best Star Wars movie ever. Don't even come at me.
Word, homies.
The mouse has spoken.